Welcome to the Explainer. So if you're a law student, you definitely know that creeping feeling of dread when you look at an upcoming semester break. You desperately need an internship, right? So what do most people do? You fire off like 50 generic emails and just pray that somebody, literally anybody, writes back. It's that classic spray and pray approach. But look, here's the harsh truth. Most law students coast through all 5 years without any real strategy, just grabbing whatever random opportunities happen to fall into their lap. Well, today we're changing all of that. We're going to take that chaotic scramble and transform it into a highly strategic 5-year master plan. We're going to build you an absolutely bulletproof, recruiter-ready profile. All right, let's just dive right in. Here is our exact roadmap for today. We'll cover the 5 essential internships, some clever timing and location strategies, how to craft the perfect application, sequencing your 5 years, and finally, follow-ups and campus placements. Okay, part 1, the 5 essential internships. You really shouldn't be interning just to tick a box. Over your 5 years in law school, your main goal should be knocking out at least one internship in each of these 5 specific categories. First up, an NGO. This gets you that grassroots legal exposure and a solid understanding of the social sector. Second, a small chamber. This is where you get hands-on drafting and real court exposure right out of the gate. Third is a judicial internship. Honestly, this gives you such invaluable behind-the-scenes insight into how judges and courts actually function. Fourth, you gotta have a corporate law firm internship for that essential transactional exposure. And finally, number 5, a prominent litigation chamber, so you can witness high-level courtroom advocacy in action. Moving on to Section 2, timing and location strategies.
Figuring out where to intern is really only half the battle. Timing is honestly the single biggest pitfall for most law students. Just look at the insane urgency you need for top-tier firms. If you want a slot at a Tier 1 firm, you have to apply 6 to 8 months in advance. Yeah, you heard me right, 6 to 8 months. Those slots vanish incredibly fast. So if you're waiting until 2 months before your break to apply, right when everyone else is starting to panic, you're already locked out. No chance. On the flip side, though, Tier 2 and smaller firms are a bit more relaxed. They usually just need you to apply about 2 to 3 months out. Truly, knowing this difference is what separates the master planners from the panic students.
Now, I can practically hear some of you asking, okay, but what if I don't have the absolute best class rank? Or what if I'm not studying at a top-tier national law university? Listen, if that's you, you just have to play the game a little differently. You need a bit of an insider cheat code to bypass all that fierce competition. So here is that cheat code. Timing and location are your absolute biggest levers. You basically want to run away from the peak competition months. June, July, December, and January, that's when all the top-tier students are on their breaks. If you apply then, you are fighting maximum competition for the exact same slots. It's brutal. Instead, apply for off-break months, and your odds just instantly skyrocket. Next up, location. Stop fighting for scraps in major metros like Delhi, Bangalore, or Mumbai. Target non-metro cities instead, places like Ahmedabad or Hyderabad. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, how do I handle my college attendance if I'm interning during the actual semester? Look, I know balancing an off-month internship with early morning classes sounds a little panic-inducing, but with a bit of planning, it is a highly, highly worthwhile trade-off. Plus, most colleges actually have built-in workarounds for attendance if you just show a little initiative. All right, Section 3, crafting the perfect application.
At the end of the day, securing the role really comes down to exactly how you present yourself. And yes, sometimes who you know. Let's just address the elephant in the room right now. Connections. If you know someone at a firm, maybe a senior, a contact from a professor, or even just someone you chatted up at a conference, use that connection. Don't be too proud to ask for a foot in the door. Seriously, in the legal field, being stubbornly self-reliant usually just means someone else who wasn't afraid to use their contacts is going to snag your spot. But hey, listen closely. If you have absolutely 0 connections right now, that is completely fine. A meticulously crafted CV can absolutely get you in the door without a single reference. You just have to make sure your application is flawless.
And when I say flawless, we really need to talk about this one golden rule. Never, ever send an AI-generated cover letter or email. I literally cannot emphasize this enough. HR professionals are reading hundreds of these a week, guys. They can spot an AI email from a mile away. Mostly because it usually sounds like a medieval knight trying to sound professional in the 21st century. It just feels robotic, it lacks any genuine passion, and it will actively destroy your chances of standing out. Honestly, it'll probably get your application tossed straight into the trash. So instead of letting a bot do the work, stick to these strict tactical do's and don'ts to make your application shine. First off, always send your CV as a PDF, never a Word doc.
Second, if you're in your first or second year, a one-page CV is totally fine. Just describe the limited experience you do have as effectively as possible. Third, genuinely connect your interest to a specific practice area that the firm actually works in. Show them you've done your homework. And fourth, this one's a real game changer. Ditch those generic subject lines. If your email subject just says application for internship, HR probably won't even click on it. You need a specific subject line calling out the exact month and year you're applying for. And if you can, mention a partner or senior associate you saw speak at a conference. That kind of specificity is what actually gets your email opened.
Which brings us to Section 4, sequencing your 5 years.
You've got to treat your law degree like a highly strategic chess match. It's all about natural progression. Whatever you do, please don't waste your time applying to Tier 1 firms in your first or second year. Honestly, most top firms just won't even look at you yet because you haven't taken the core subjects they need you to know. Instead, step 1 is dedicating those early years to boutique firms and small chambers. Really use years 1 and 2 to build up your foundational experience and prove your track record. Then, step 2 kicks in. That's when you aim for the Tier 1 firms from your third year onward, armed with a much stronger, thoroughly tested profile.
Finally, Section 5, follow-ups and placements. Okay, so you've sequenced everything perfectly, and you've sent out those highly specific emails. Now we hit the final hurdles, and we have to talk about a very important acronym, the RCC, or Recruitment Coordination Committee. From your third year onward, this is actually your absolute best route to securing those top firm internships. Why? Because most major firms actually get tired of individual cold emails from older students. They much prefer recruiting directly through college RCCs. If your college doesn't have an RCC yet, take the initiative and start one yourself. Honestly, that's a massive CV booster right there. The main thing you need to remember about the RCC route, though, is that internship slots are handed out heavily based on class rank. So keeping those grades up is the ultimate key to unlocking this pathway. But what if you're applying directly via cold email and you hear absolutely crickets? Silence is super common, but it doesn't mean game over. You just need to stick to this strict follow-up formula. Send your first follow-up exactly 1 week after your initial application. Still nothing? Send a second follow-up 3 days later. Still silence? A third follow-up 3 days after that. And finally, a fourth follow-up 3 days after the third. If you get absolutely zero response after that fourth try, you gotta stop waiting. Cut your losses, hold your head high, and confidently move on to the next firm on your list. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? Stop spraying and praying. Today is the day you take control of your career. By locking down those 5 diverse internships, playing it smart with your timing and location, crafting super specific applications, and properly pacing yourself over the 5 years, you are actively building the ultimate recruiter-ready profile. You aren't just crossing your fingers and hoping for an internship anymore. You are executing a master plan. And to help you start executing right this second, we've got a fantastic resource for you. Check out the description below this explainer for a comprehensive list of firms, their career page links, and a super useful internship tracker put together by Titiksha Legal. It's basically the perfect tool to keep your entire master plan organized and on track. I want to leave you with one final thought. Knowledge is only power if you actually act on it. So take a hard look at your calendar, look at your current CV, and ask yourself, what is the very first strategic move you're going to make today to build your ultimate recruiter-ready profile? Are you going to draft a hyper-specific email to a boutique firm, or maybe map out an off-month strategy in a non-metro city? Whatever it is, trying to wrap your head around the legal world a little bit better, consider this your official invitation. Subscribe to Titiksha Legal. It is a space designed specifically for you to learn, question, and explore.